Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. Remember the Pod Bros Podcast Network. Don't forget to go to podbros.com and find yourself another podcast you want to listen to. And check out our sponsors, Trapper Roll Soap Company, the best soap you will ever put on your body. As well as Tape Armor, keep those fingers safe. And find all of our old episodes and maybe a t-shirt if you really want at bjjshow.com. This past week, we had Aarron on the show again. We talked a little bit about EBI rules and some other, I guess, controversial stuff. And hey, if you stop listening because you don't agree with our EBI rules, sorry. Go find another BJJ podcast. But don't forget to check us out on iTunes, subscribe, give us a rating, and I will see you guys after this episode. I like surprises, but...
Well, this is a surprise.
Okay.
So
Surprise.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
All right. Well, first, it's a Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Aarron.
Hey. Another episode with Aarron. So, what's the surprise?
Oh, fuck, dude. This is going to... I don't know how to say this. I really don't know how to say this. This is going to be... I think EBI rules are bullshit. All right? I don't think they're
and there goes half of our listener base. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a good episode.
I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that EBI rules are not the best. And I'm saying that because over the last couple of years, however long EBI has been around, like when it first came out, I bought into the idea of submission only. I was like, man, that's fucking cool, right? It's like, oh... hey, jiu-jitsu, we're not just rolling for points. But I think back then I didn't understand what the points were actually about.
Yeah.
You know? I didn't understand what you were getting points for. And now that I understand why you get points in different competitions, it irks me when I watch some EBI matches. Especially because EBI is one of those things where the people commenting on it can be really fucking annoying. And I say this because, well, knowing, any of those guys can tap me out. But at the same time, look, man, you're trying to make an entertaining thing, and you're putting your product out for everybody to watch. This is my criticism, and I watch EBI. I watch pretty much every EBI that comes out because I like watching the grappling.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to it that is very cool and very valuable. It irks me when I watch a match where there's a guy who goes out and he dominates, absolutely fucking dominates another dude for 10 minutes, puts this guy in side control, puts this guy in north-south, mounts this guy, puts him fucking side control with the guy facing away in the fetal position. Dude, like pure domination. I'm like, this is, and he's going for a submission. But the guy's defense is good, and the EBI commentators are sitting there saying, oh, yeah, this is why he's so good. I mean, they're fucking... And this, they're on the guy's nuts the whole time because he's a 10th Planet guy. He's a 10th Planet guy. So they're like, oh, he does this so well. This is exactly what his game plan was. He's going out there, and it's like, dude, your guy's getting fucking annihilated, and you're sitting there, and you're, like, delusionally talking about how great he is. And I'm sure he is a great grappler, and this is what pissed me off. 10 minutes of this. 10 minutes of fucking pure smash. Pure, utter domination. And then we go into overtime. And this is where the 10th Planet guy, who's obviously trained these two positions, the spider web in the back.
Yeah.
He's trained that with EBI rules, right? And there's weird... there's all these weird things when they're actually setting up the position where, like, some guys, like, lean really far forward. Some guys put their hands in a weird spot. I don't really understand, exactly. I don't even think they understand exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And this is, like, the 14th EBI, 13th EBI. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, right? I could be wrong about that. But it's very obvious that the 10th Planet guy was much more practiced than the Matt Serra guy.
Right.
So... he wins in overtime. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, that's not fair. I didn't think it was fair. And I also didn't think that I get it if you're going to do a sport, right? If it's just the sport, but the commentators keep talking about how this is the realest form of jiu-jitsu. Like it's submission only and this is the real shit. And I'm just like, dude, it's not the real shit if you're incentivized to go out and sit down on your ass when you start the match.
Yeah.
I don't
Fuck
think any jiu-jitsu competition where there's an incentive to sit down on your ass at the beginning of the match is in any way adhering to the true sort of spirit of jiu-jitsu. What I do think adheres to this pure spirit of jiu-jitsu and is the greatest fucking spectator thing in that jiu-jitsu has ever done is fucking combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That is some fucking rough and tumble, hard motherfucker shit right there. That was cool. I watched, I think, clips from the last one, but I watched these matches, and that was some cool shit, man. So, I mean, I can talk more about that, but I mean, am I, like, super off base? Like, I mean, EBI is great. I'm not trashing EBI. Everything else besides that, I think is great, man. There's some fucking things I have issues with.
No, I mean, I agree to an extent. I was thinking about this earlier too, like when you started it out with a lot of things, overtime rules, I get it. But I think sometimes referee decision way is the best thing to do. Like if he was dominated for 10 minutes and I just lay on my side and I get fetal positioned and I'm inside control and all this other stuff, there's no way there's no way even in real life.
Agree.
I should be winning that match. So I was thinking, like, let's go back. At least it's one step above Metamoris, where you can have 9 matches and 8 of them are draws.
Yeah, that's boring as fuck. What is the one that has referee decision? That's Polaris, right?
Polaris and Fight to Win does that a lot too.
Okay, so it was one of those I watched an AJ Agazarm match where AJ Agazarm fought a black belt that came in on short notice, and the guy did really fucking well. Right? Against a guy like AJ Agazarm, who's in the competition circuit.
Yeah.
It was a great match. It was one of my favorite matches, and I think it was just because that guy went out there knowing he had nothing to lose. But he was clearly dominated by AJ Agazarm, and even me, with my, relative lack of experience in the sport, can see, and really anybody could see, even if you've never done jiu-jitsu, if you're a casual fan, you can see that, say, AJ Agazarm was dominating this guy. And then the ref, there was a decision, and the ref raised AJ Agazarm's hand. And that makes sense. There should be a winner. It's fucking competition. It's not... I mean, like, are we fucking playing soccer? We don't need a bunch of draws, man.
No.
We don't need fucking 0-0. Give people money. People come... There's a fucking winner. Everybody in the audience can see that somebody won that match, even if that match didn't end in a submission. So give the fucking guy who we know won some money. Otherwise, who gets money if there's a draw?
I don't know. Nobody? Both?
I have no idea.
Well, it's Metamoris. Nobody gets money. You got to wait till the next event and then you get paid.
Yeah, that's true. You got to fucking fight an MMA fight in order to make money.
Fuck that guy.
To pay...
Yes, I'm sorry, Hal. You can come kick my ass. It's fine. I'm sorry I said fuck that guy.
But at the same time, it's like, you open yourself up for criticism when you do some bullshit.
Did you see not like get off the rails, did you see the poster he put up to challenge AJ to a match?
I know of it, but I didn't see the poster.
Pretty much it was like, all proceeds will go to pay the fighters of the previous event. And everyone's fuck you. That's such bullshit. Like,
oh, man. What? I mean, fuck, dude. I don't know. How broke do you got to be to fight an MMA fight to pay people?
Well,
for your other fights that you put on.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if you stipulate that, I've seen some people like, yeah, I'll fucking take the fight.
Oh, yeah.
For what?
Oh, definitely.
I need the cash.
You're gonna invest. I mean, the potential to have a life-altering event in the cage, or add to your brain damage, and you have to do your fight camp prep and all that.
Yep.
For what? I mean, what is a circuit pro MMA fighter make? $2,000?
Maybe. You want to know what my grand purse was for the win?
I'm gonna guess.
Go for it.
$750?
I wish. €200.
Oh my God! Really?
I'm not saying. Look, man, I'm not like I will disclose. It was €200. I got €200
Yeah.
to fight as the main event for the title.
Oh fuck. Well, it's Europe, but also,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the sport,
It is,
right?
Hey, it made for good dinner.
Dude,
I'm not gonna lie.
I'll tell you this much: if you're an athlete, if you're a mixed martial arts athlete or a Brazilian jiu-jitsu athlete, and you are thinking that you're going to make a lot of money doing this, number one, it's probably not going to happen. But if you're good enough, you start, even if you're a shitty MMA fighter, maybe you have a winning record. You pretty much have to have a winning record.
Yeah.
The one thing that gives these fighters freedom is social media.
Yes.
So basically, you look at like the disclosed purses for the fighters in the UFC,
right? And
you say, man, that's $32,000 or $16,000 or $12,000, even with a win bonus. I mean, you're below the poverty line, man. I mean, that's not that much money. And how many times a year do you have to fight? Plus, for a rank and file fighter in the UFC, how many times are you going to get the opportunity to fight in the UFC?
Yeah.
But if you have a good social media game, then you can get sponsors and you can really up the amount of money you're making. I've been involved a little bit in the social media thing, and there's so much money there. People are on their phones all the time.
Yeah, there's
so much money to be made from Instagram and from plugging things and from sharing things. If you look, there are celebrities and there are athletes that their Facebook page is basically just, it's not even them talking anymore. It's just a conduit for sharing viral articles. And if you think that they're just sharing that kind of shit out of the kindness of their hearts, the reality is Dakota Meyer, the Medal of Honor recipient, is getting paid money to share these viral articles on his Facebook page. So when you see something like this incredible, catch or this incredible fucking landing of this plane, it's like, do you really think Dakota Meyer gives a fuck about that? No, man. But he probably made like $200-300 off sharing that post because of his reach. So if you're an MMA fighter and you're neglecting your social media game, you should probably take a look at it.
Is that why Uriah Faber is sharing just like the random, and Cyborg sharing the randomest shit out there? Just like,
it's possible.
Like, you won't believe what happened to this dad next after he found his baby. Like that.
Yes.
100%.
That's exactly it. You can bet Uriah Faber makes money in his sleep. He has probably a social media company. He probably hired. This is the thing, is that there's so much that goes on behind the scenes with social media. Uriah Faber probably hired a company to help him share these fucking things and to pay him. So they'll schedule all his Facebook posts in advance. I don't know if this is true or not, but I know that this is how some people do it. You think fucking Uriah. You just think Uriah Faber. Do you think he's sitting up at fucking 6 o'clock in the morning sharing some post at 10 o'clock in the morning, exactly 10 o'clock, because you look at it, it's exactly 10 o'clock, it's scheduled. You think he's sitting there saying, you know what, I'd really like to share this video of a guy befriending a bear in Russia? Probably not.
It's relevant to my interests. I think that's pretty cool.
I think, I probably would watch that. Fuck, man. I don't know. You got to have a good social media game.
You do, and more you'll see people doing the social media thing, but like, I think the way you're talking about, people need to go about smartly. Is that a fucking word?
Yeah, smartfully.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, my English am good, not bad.
Well, I just made that shit up. So
okay.
It's probably not a
They should do it more better.
Yeah. Should probably do it a little better.
More better. Fuck it. Anyway, so like the being smart about your social media too, I think is a huge thing, because something I've talked to some other people about out in the community too, talking about like sponsorships and stuff, is like being smart about how you go about asking for sponsorships.
Okay.
So I think I did like one of the live videos about this, but one of the people I talk to quite frequently, name withheld for many reasons, says that he gets boatloads of people asking for sponsorships. He'll get an Instagram like from them, an Instagram follow, then like a forum email of, let's talk about how I can support you. And he's like, you've never bought my stuff. You don't wear my stuff. Fuck you. Like,
yeah.
And then they unfollow it. Then he doesn't really say, "Oh, fuck you." Like it's like, nah, we don't really do that.
But
so.
you let him know.
Yeah.
You let him know if you're not going to be an asset to the company. I mean, you got to look at it from the perspective of the business, right? I mean, and so one thing. I mean, I was just talking. I literally just said you have to have a good social media presence, and that's true. But you have to also. There's more to it than that. You know, you can't be the kind... You can't just fucking be that guy who goes out and asks for all these sponsorships. It's like it has to be... You have to have an organic sort of presence and way of growing your social media followers without seeming like you're trying too hard. Like, without seeming thirsty about it. You have to be consistent. You have to be engaging. And the sponsors will come to you. You know? People will fucking line up. If you're a consistent, engaging person, people will line up. And that's hard for people to do because I don't know that social media is something that comes naturally to all humans. No. It definitely doesn't come naturally to me because I'm not an oversharer. If you're a natural oversharer and you don't have fucking 10 times as many followers on Instagram as you are following, dude, you're just fucking neglecting it. You're just like, if you're the type of person who is a super annoyingly effusive person in real life and you're just like always talking, you should have a great social media game. And if you don't, you should probably figure out how to do it, you know? But, I mean, there's a lot of money out there, but fuck, man, it's like a company can only afford to sponsor so many athletes.
Yeah.
And if you're a thirsty fucking athlete and all your posts are just selfies, you know, it's like, oh, just got done training, and it's like just a selfie, and your whole page is like that, dude, I mean, come on. You know? I mean, try harder. Try harder.
Like, way harder? Or
yeah, like way harder. Or if you're, like, just trying to fucking, you know, give money to pay your athletes for Metamoris, then I imagine that's...
I do like the fact you called it thirsty, and because it makes me laugh, because I always think back to I had to have one of my soldiers explain to me what thirsty meant. I was like, what the fuck do you mean they're thirsty? Dude, like, can you explain it to me?
Dude, I'm on that like generational... I think you're a few years older than me, I think. Right? Yeah. So I'm like at that fucking awkward age where it's like I grew up with the internet, but I didn't grow up with Snapchat.
Yeah.
You know? So like, and I grew up with the internet, and I grew up with MySpace, which then transitioned into Facebook. So I've been on Facebook a very long time, but as far as like Instagram, you know, kids nowadays, there's like a way that you learn how to use it from a young age. So, I mean, going back, like, I mean, Instagram's been around for like 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
There are kids who, from the time they were in high school, have been using Instagram, and they're just going to have this intimate sort of knowledge of what hits and what doesn't hit on Instagram. And then you're going to have people that are always going to be interesting. Like, if Kurt Osiander's on Instagram, which I think he is.
He is.
I don't think he... And I love Kurt Osiander. I don't think he posts, like, I don't think he has, like, a fucking, the most engaging Instagram ever. I think his profile picture is, like, his forehead, you know? So it's but he has, I mean, interesting people are always going to have a shitload of followers anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
The guy has a fuckload of followers, I'm pretty sure, and he's just, I mean, he doesn't even have to try, you know? So either be super interesting, or you have to fucking, maybe you have to innately be growing up with this technology, but I don't know.
God damn it. This is like one of these, I'm too old for this type of shit.
Right?
Like, I'm straight up asking people, like, what the fuck is a dab?
Oh, dude. Oh, it's hard, man.
I know what a dab is now, if everybody's wondering.
I only found out, like, a year ago or something. I was like, why the fuck is this dude tucking his head into his elbow?
It's like, that's how we learned how to sneeze in the army. I was like, oh, he's sneezing. He's putting his face in his arm.
Don't touch your face with your hands, or you'll just get even more sick.
Yeah.
But I was going to say earlier about the fucking... So the combat jiu-jitsu at UBI. So what was really weird to me, well, not weird, but interesting, was seeing the dudes who had been picked to do combat jiu-jitsu, and how vastly different their personalities and their sort of skill sets were than most of the other EBI guys. Because the EBI, and I like the butt scooters, right? The EBI butt scooters are not going to be doing combat jiu-jitsu because they're going to get fucking slapped in the face. But these MMA guys, it's basically like guys who've all already fought MMA that were doing the combat jiu-jitsu. And they went out and they fucking did an awesome job. But they did jiu-jitsu, man. They passed. They hit people in the face and they passed guard. You know, and they fucking held a defensive guard so they didn't get hit.
Yeah.
And then the dude managed to hit and strike and get past it anyway. So I just found it to be a really interesting display of very, very high-level jiu-jitsu while incorporating those strikes that I think was... And I really like how they're going to be doing a full combat jiu-jitsu tournament. Like, I think that's really fucking cool. But I think that what this says to me is the old debate of like submission versus points. I understand why points make sense. You know?
At the end of the day, you get a clear winner. I feel like submission only, everything has its place. I learned the hard lesson going from doing nothing but point tournaments to my first submission only tournament and got my ass handed to me because it's a different mindset. But points definitely has its place. Submission only definitely has its place. And there's got to be something else weird out there that people want to do in combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
We'll say that, yeah, it definitely has its place.
There should be, so what we used to do in the Marine Corps is we would have like a 20-on-20 grappling.
Oh, hell yes.
See, I've seen that in MMA, and what that fucking ends up being is just nothing but head kicks. It's like you get knocked on the ground, and then some Russian dude comes up to you and fucking punts you in the head. And that's the whole match. And it's like, once one guy goes down, then everybody else is going down. So the MMA thing is like, okay, but in jiu-jitsu, if you had a bunch of guys go out there and grapple, there would be a lot of interesting sort of strategy things. Like, would two grapplers, maybe slightly lower level, take on like the fucking Gary Tonin, right?
Yeah.
So like two brown belts like go after Gary Tonin, right? If he's on the opposite team, and then would maybe the other grapplers would sort of form a ring around those two while they took out Gary Tonin, and they would just fend off the submissions. I mean, that might be fucking cool. I mean, that's one thing.
Shit, I'd be in for that.
Dude, that'd be a cool novelty match at least. But you could also, you could have takedowns, right? So you could be standing there while these two dudes who just took down Gary Tonin are fucking going at him on the ground, and Gary Tonin is like defending and fucking throwing heel hooks even though he's got two dudes on him, and he taps both of them out, and then he rear naked chokes the line of dudes around him. That could be a cool sport. Maybe it would be really stupid, but I don't think that Eddie Bravo knew how cool combat jiu-jitsu would be until he just fucking said, whatever, try it, let's do it.
Like, thinking about that makes me think of, here's my pitch, right? This can save a lot of, like, I guess, promotions maybe. So I need money from you guys if you use this idea. You get one of the heaviest world class, so like a Hadra Gracie or Buchecha, right?
Okay.
You get them out there. And you get 20 of the lightest white belts you can get.
Yeah.
Like the midgets who fought that. There's an urban legend or like it's never been proven or not, but like in Malaysia, we'll just say Malaysia or like fucking Indonesia or something. One of the big like attractions that nobody ever proved it could happen was that they'd have a lion in the ring, and they got all these little people, midgets, dwarves, whatever you want to call them, with like spears and like shields and stuff, and they all would try to kill the lion. Right? I don't know if that ever really happened. I thought it was a pretty interesting story. I might have laughed a little bit just with the picture in my head of it.
Yeah.
But now imagine Buchecha's like, yeah, I'm in. Let's see what happens. You get Buchecha, he's ready, he's good to go. And we got everybody who's got like up to 6 months of experience.
No
just
more.
Like 20 white belts.
Yeah.
Trying to sub Buchecha.
Just like of all types.
Yes.
You get Larry from The Office, who's super overweight, and you get fucking Derek, the 17-year-old high school wrestler, and you have fucking Laura, the housewife, who's just had her third kid and is trying to get back in shape, and then you have fucking everybody, just all these different white belts, and they're all going at Hadra Gracie, and they're trying to see if that would be fucking awesome.
Wouldn't it? I would pay money just to see like
King of the. It'd be like a King of the Hill match,
but with everybody.
I
just want to see. Like, I want them all to be like the lightest weight class that we can get. And him just grabbing him by the back of the gi and tossing him to the side while he just like picks one out and chokes him unconscious.
Yes.
Drops him, moves the other guy. Like, That's the type of shit I want to see.
Yeah, and maybe they're wearing costumes too. Or what? I don't know. Whatever, man. Maybe they're wearing like karate gis.
I don't care. Let's do whatever. Or was it? Was some video floating around of the Batman and Robin fighting Spider-Man and some like MMA on a stage? It was weird.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
They do all sorts of shit overseas that you just like. They have like little kids fighting MMA in Chechnya.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? Like the fucking crazy dictator dude. I mean, you got to think, man. That Eastern Europe, they breed some hardy folk.
Yeah.
Just some seriously like fucking resilient people, man. I had one of my first times I did judo. It was at my old gym, and our judo randori was like, it could turn into jujitsu if the instructor wanted it to. Like,
yeah.
So we do judo randori, but with double leg takedowns, because that's just the way that he wanted to do it. And so I was going against this guy, and he's from fucking Kazakhstan. And he we go to the ground. He puts me in his guard, but it's like he'd never done jiu-jitsu before.
Right.
He just had like an idea of what you're supposed to do in the guard, but not really. So he wrapped his legs around me, and he just fucking scissor crushed my ribs. He bruised one of my ribs.
Holy fuck.
But he just did it with his legs super duper hard, and I'm just sitting there like fuck, like this hurts. Like, this is not a cool thing to do to somebody. Like, there's like rules, sort of like norms and ways when you're rolling. It's like there's certain things you don't do to your friends.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't cover their mouths, or maybe you don't like do a lot of fucking neck shit or whatever, man. There's like some dickhead moves you can do. But I mean, this guy was just crushing my ribs. And fucking he stopped, and I was like, are you done? Like, he tired out. And I was like, are you done? And I, passed guard and submitted him, but it was one of the fucking most gnarly things that's ever happened to me in jiu-jitsu, and it was like a string of those, like Eastern European dudes coming into the gym, and they're good. I mean, some of them are, they just will fucking throw you, and will just be warming up, and they'll fucking just throw you, bam, right onto your back on a cold floor. The very first thing we do when we're warming up, and you're just supposed to be loading people up, like just supposed to be doing the what the fuck is it called where you off balance people? This is
Kazushi.
Me. Yeah, I'm a white belt in judo, by the way. So the Kazushi, and instead they throw you and fuck you up for the rest of the day. But they're mean motherfuckers, and they're great training partners once maybe they calm down a little bit. But they also make fucking great champions.
Yeah, they do.
Or would be champions if they could not die while cutting weight.
Yeah, or like talk about the 10-year-old kids fighting MMA in Chechnya, and then by the time they roll around to 16, they're like punch drunk, and I'll take this fight for this candy bar, just like it doesn't make it makes sense. Like, that sucks. Sucks.
Sad. Yeah. Except, I mean, you look at it and you're like, there's some cultures they do it, and it's like, okay, you think it's okay, like Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Kids fight in the stadiums all the time, and you see them grow up, and it's like, and you're like, what's the difference there? Why is it that this training system is producing people who have this longevity, but maybe it doesn't? I mean, a lot of Muay Thai fighters are retired by the time they're like 22, 23. I mean, they have like 300 fucking fights.
That's like, oh my god,
it's crazy.
And Muay Thai is definitely not a I can do this the rest of my life type of art. Like, you've got a good solid 10 years.
Yeah, I think you got a period of time.
Fuck that.
It's like MMA. They say that MMA has a period, but I think that there's some people. I think there's some fucking heavyweights out there that would beg to differ.
The heavyweight division, I think, is always going to have older guys in it anyways, because they say power is the last thing to go. And, like, let's face it, the heavyweights are not moving like Mighty Mouse.
No,
that's for damn sure. So, I think you can hang out there for a good while.
Well, did you ever watch the UFC, the Ultimate Fighter, with the heavyweights?
Yeah.
With, like, Brendan Schaub on it and stuff?
Yeah.
So, what I found most interesting about that, so that was in that sort of crazy period of MMA where, like, it had become a real sport, and it started taking off in popularity, but it was also still very, like, kind of like a douchey culture around it.
Yeah, it was. Still is, in a sense.
I mean, there is, but there's definitely getting more...
mainstream, I guess?
Yeah, I think so, man. I think the UFC went a long way towards sort of professionalizing it and making it so that there's... I don't know, just disassociating some of that with it. And there's some personalities, I think, that help do that, too. I think Ronda helped do that a lot. But back then, it was just so fucking interesting to watch these heavyweights who were fighting for a UFC contract and just how fucking tired they would get after the first minute.
Yeah.
How fucking tired. And then they would just, every fight was just people just wildly swinging at each other. And you could really tell the difference between a UFC, some of those people who went on to be very successful UFC fighters, and the others was who could get their conditioning, who could actually fight the whole fucking fight, you know? So like Brendan Schaub was one of the ones who had great conditioning. He went on to fight in the UFC.
Yeah.
Roy Nelson was able to make it through, and you know, it's Roy Nelson, but the fucking dude will fight the whole fight.
He did. He fought Fabricio Verdum 3 rounds.
100%, man.
All the way. It was awesome.
Definitely. So, you know, Matt Mitrione, he later went on to fight in the UFC, went on to fight in Bellator. He's fighting in Bellator now.
Yep.
But it's like, it's those heavyweights back then. It was just such a fucking interesting thing to see. This was the tier of people right underneath getting into the UFC. Like these were the people fighting all over on the regional shows and on these other shows and maybe in Strikeforce or whatever. And they fucking just were so tired. And I think it was part of like there was all this training that you used to do. People used to lift so much weights instead of like focusing on cardio.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, man. I wasn't, you know, I mean, I took like a fucking 2-week trial at an MMA gym in 2007, you know, so it's like, but I was watching a lot of UFC back then. And it was just an interesting thing, man.
I actually got Dural Schoonover, who was on that show. I got to train with him like for a week.
Oh, cool.
In El Paso. And what was terrible is, you know, Dural was a really cool guy, and I'm really glad I didn't put my foot in my mouth in the gym. Like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together because my brother was like, you know, he was on The Ultimate Fighter, right? I'm like, what season was that? And he was like, it was one with Rampage as the coach. I'm like, oh, that's the season with titties, right? And he's like, don't say that shit. That was him. And he gets fucking pissed when everybody. I was like, oh, fuck. Because I rolled with him. I was like a fresh blue belt.
Yeah.
He beat the fuck out of me.
Yeah. I mean,
and I was like, I'm glad I didn't say that shit than shit.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like they all ended up becoming better fighters, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I mean, it's a division where you don't have to have the best endurance, but the best guys it's like, it's so funny how the standard is being able to just go the whole fight.
Yeah.
Versus like the standard at lighter weight classes where Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson is literally fucking jumping on his toes the entire fight and suplexing to armbar. You know, like it's fucking just a whole different standard. And that's why they can last for, you know, 50, 60, 70, 100 years in the game, man. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if Fedor is fighting when he's a senior citizen. They're going to bring him out of retirement. I mean, they're fucking doing it, man. Like, there's guys that just, it upsets me to see them considering fighting again. After watching Chuck Liddell get knocked out so many times
that was
at the
pretty
end of his
rough.
career, and having him on social media, having it seem like he's going to come back, like, Bellator is it's got a lot of great fighters, and it's also the freak show.
It is.
It's the freak show.
U.S. version of Pride almost in some areas.
Dude, I mean, it's cool. I like the idea of watching Chuck Liddell fight again, but I don't like the idea of watching him get punched and then having that be the punch that drives him to fucking have such bad traumatic brain injury that the next videos you see of him are him slurring his words.
Yeah.
You know? That's scary. That's scary shit.
Because he's definitely not I'll cover up, it'll be fine. It's we'll just see who can take more hits.
I'll eat this with my chin.
Yeah, fuck.
Just put this on my chin, and then I'll punch you back
It's like,
if I survive.
What was it like Wanderlei when he fought Chris Lieben? They're just them staying in the middle of the ring, just fucking swinging for the fences.
Fuck, dude.
That's gonna be. I'm still waiting for Wanderlei to come out and just like you said, slurring his words.
That's another fucking guy. He fought too many times, way too many times. His fucking face looks like a. It looks like it was smashed with It looks like dough that was smashed with one of those fucking things. With
the meat tenderizer.
Yeah, that thing. Like fucking just. It looks. You look at him, a young Wanderlei Silva, and then you look at him 20 years later, and you're like, that's a different person. You're like, that's a White Walker from Game of Thrones, dude. Like he looks like a fucking demon. And he's a scary motherfucker, but he looks like he looks like Hellboy.
Well, he had to have surgery to get a lot of that scar tissue removed, just because you would like flick him and his eyebrow would open up, just because he's had so many just wars with guys, just beating the shit out of each other, and he usually came out on top. But there's the occasional like, oh, this is what pisses me off on the UFC intros. It has Rampage knocking out Wanderlei as one of the like video things. Do we forget about the 2 times Wanderlei knocked him out? Like knocked him out.
Yeah.
God dang! Like threw him through the ropes, knocked out.
Maybe they don't give a shit about Pride as much.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but you know what? Pride was, for what it was. There's when we had Steven Quadros on the show, there was an article he recommended. It was I'm trying to remember what it was. It was pretty much like the rise and fall of Pride. It was a really, really, really interesting and cool article, which kind of talked about how Pride came to be, like the highlights of it, and then the downfall. And like,
I think I read that.
It was really well written. I suggest anybody who likes Pride or wants to learn about it, and kind of like there's shit in there I had no idea about.
Oh yeah,
it was awesome.
It was just one of those things where it was going on before I sort of became aware of MMA.
Yeah,
when I was a little too young to really know anything about it, and I didn't really. I mean, you know, unless your family is involved in the sport, you probably aren't watching it when you're 10 years old.
No.
You know. Excuse me.
Nice drinking that beer.
Yeah. So, but. It's cool. I mean, there's a lot of epic matches that happen in Pride. There's a lot of very strange things that happen in Pride as well.
Hell yeah.
You know, the Japanese just... Some of the shit they sanction, man. Do you see the fucking Risen Gabby Garcia versus that fucking grandma?
Yep.
Gabby Garcia.
She smashed her.
Bigger than me. Maybe bigger than you. Maybe not. She's definitely fucking on some Mexican supplements. I can tell you that much.
No.
Hey, man.
No, she totally didn't fail any IBJJF tests either.
Hey, man. Look, okay. Hey, I know IBJJF, they are renowned for how stringent their testing is. They're the pinnacle. They don't let nobody slips by. No grapplers will ever slip by IBJJF.
They'll just get you 4 years later.
They'll just get you, I mean, whatever. I mean, hey, man, like, okay, nobody does steroids. Nobody does steroids, right?
Right.
Nobody does steroids. That's what we're saying. But I'm saying Gabby Garcia, maybe she took some creatine. You know?
I think that's realistic.
Maybe some of these Brazilian guys, maybe they took a little protein powder. We're not saying anybody does steroids. I'm not saying that. I'm saying maybe some guys have been going to GNC. And maybe they're really, really eating a lot of, fucking...
Horse meat?
Yeah, horse meat, plant-based diets. They're taking supplements that are like, natural supplements. They're getting fucking absolutely jacked. But I think Gabby Garcia maybe is on some, some creatine, but she's fighting this fucking person that looks like... the fear in her eyes was something that you see when you're about to die. Like when somebody knows they're about to die, like if you're fucking like you're in a war... You're in the fucking Spanish Civil War in 1930, and you're getting fucking... There's some guys that are putting you up against the wall, and they're saying in Spanish, they're like, "What is your final prayer?" And they bring a priest out, and the priest comes out, and he's like, "Confess your sins," and they confess their sins, and then the fucking Spanish guys are like, "You're done, priest," and they pull out a gun, and they're like, sayonara, or that's Japanese. I don't know.
Is. He's a very very cultured Spaniard.
Yeah, so they're like sayonara, and then the guy like looks up, and that's the look right before that pistol in his face. That's looked at that fucking
God dang.
old ass lady and then it was so stupid, but it was great.
That was a really detailed description of it. I appreciate that.
I mean, it was that fucking fearful, man. I was scared for her. I had my hands up like this, like with my eyes in between my fingers, like I'm doing it, or like you're a little kid and you're like, I don't want to see that, but I do want to see. Like when I watched Independence Day for the first time when I was like 10 years old, and there's the fucking aliens at Area 51, and I hid behind my couch because I was so scared. I was like, ah! I hid behind my couch, and I was like, and I kept looking up, and there's that crazy fucking doctor guy, and he was like, these are our specimens or whatever, and then one of them
talk about Data from Star Trek.
Is that what? No,
yeah, it was Data from Star Trek.
Was it really the scientist guy?
Yeah.
Oh no, shit! It was just totally fucking different hair, man. Just totally different.
And he showed emotion.
Well, it was like in one of them he was painted. He had like
fucking gold
geisha makeup on or something.
Yeah, damn near, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's Independence Day. I get it. It was a little scary.
Yeah. Well, I'm also a giant fucking pussy when it comes to horror movies.
Dude,
I can't watch it.
You know what fucked me up as a kid?
What?
Resident Evil 2.
The video game?
The video game.
I tried to play...
Fuck that, man.
Dude, I can't do it. I tried to play the original Resident Evil, and I just couldn't make it through it. I was so scared. It was so fucking scary.
Yeah, it was... So, like, I remember... It was like 13, 14, somewhere in there, right? It was 8th grade, I think. Yeah, it was 8th grade. And I remember for my birthday, my dad's like, well, what do you want? I was like, shit, let's get Resident Evil 2. Didn't play the first one, zombies. Zombies, aren't really big now. So let's try it out.
Yeah.
I think 15 minutes, I'm like, nah, I'm good, man. This shit's, I can't deal with this shit. With like the liquor jumping off the ceiling. I'm like, nah, I'm good, man.
No, jump scares in video games. No, I can't do it, man. I can't do jump scares. And I can't do creepy little girls crawling out of shit.
Oh, fuck that.
No, I can't do that. I mean, dude, like, I can't do haunted houses. It's haunted house season right now, and I'll never go to a haunted house. I mean, I will never go. They advertise these haunted houses as like the scariest things in the world, right? And for me, I'm like, okay, if I in real life, if I was forced to go to a haunted house.
Like a real haunted house?
Yeah, I was trapped in a horror movie.
Yeah.
This is another thing. Here's my problem. Every time I watch a horror movie, I put myself in there.
Yeah.
So I watched
Guilty.
the original Saw. And I wanted to cry the whole time. Because I thought of myself, and I was like, dude, and I don't even remember everything that they had, but there was like, you had to fucking cut your arm off or some shit. You had to like reach in places, or you had to. And I was just like, dude, I can't deal with this shit, man. I can't deal with haunted houses either because there's fucking, you're just like walking. But if it was real life, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try and fight everybody that comes out at me.
Yeah.
If anybody comes out in this haunted house, I'm doing Tony Blauer fucking spear system, fingers in their eyes, self-defense, startle reflex, and then I'm gonna do some push kicks, and I'm gonna try and just see but it's like I'm gonna get sucked into the void probably. Like there's some fucking crazy thing that's gonna pull me into a room.
Why not handle it like Major Payne did? Boogeyman's in the closet, and he just fucking unloads his 9mm in it.
Never seen Major Payne.
What?
Okay. So I started watching it, and this was back when I was in like full motard Marine mode.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh,
can't believe this is not accurate at all.
This is not accurate at all to what a Marine would actually do. But if I watched it now, I'd probably think it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Didn't he have like gold teeth?
He did.
Yeah, I started watching it, and he was like yelling at kids or something.
Yeah, that's my life goal right there.
Is it?
Yeah, just yell at kids all day.
Do you do that in your job now?
No.
Some people might as well be kids.
Might as well be kids. Yes,
they might as well be.
But I'm more of the. I'm not angry at you. I'm just very disappointed.
You seem like that guy. You seem like that kind of mentor, leader.
I don't like yelling. I yelled when I was teaching new soldiers, like in AIT, but
it's just because they can't hear you.
Well, yeah, and I also only got them for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I have to like make a good impression. Now I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Bud,
I'm not mad at you. I'm just really disappointed in you.
Thoroughly disappointed in your actions. I know that you still have it in you to not be such a dumbass.
Yeah.
But right now, you just did something real bad.
Stupid as shit. I'm sorry.
You're being a ding-dong. You should say that. And the next time you have to counsel somebody, it's like, all right, so you did this, and this well, but here, man, listen.
You're a ding-dong.
You're just being a ding-dong. You just gotta
I think
not buy a Ford Mustang at 25% interest rate.
Why not?
It's
a requirement, man. If you're in the Army and you're a specialist below, you need a Mustang.
You gotta tell them that requirement is like a soft requirement.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe you don't have to get married and divorced, within the same year. Maybe you don't have to marry the first person that you meet when you leave basic training. I don't know. Look, whatever, man. You're in charge of these guys. I don't know.
I've actually got a pretty fucking good group of people.
Yeah. I bet you do.
Yeah. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's something's going to happen in the future. Be like, and here you go. I'm like, oh, this guy, like, what does he do in his free time? Oh, he huffs paint. Great. Like,
well, at least he shows up to work on time.
Yeah, fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah.
If he did jiu-jitsu, I'd give more leeway, though.
True.
Speaking of which, dude, John, did you hear how he did at the combatives tournament?
No, he was there on Thursday, though. We did some Kimura shit, and we did some other. How did he do?
He got second.
He got second out of 2 people, though.
No.
I thought it was...
No, there's 3 people.
Oh.
So what happened was he got he beat the first guy.
Okay.
Beat the second guy by points.
Okay.
Faced him in the final round, and then the guy submitted him.
Huh.
So the guy he beat before, I was like, oh, who was it? One looked him up. I was like, dude, this guy's a fucking brown belt.
No shit.
Yeah.
No
so
shit.
I told John,
so he beat a brown belt.
He did.
That's fucking awesome.
But the brown belt got him back, but
yeah.
I was just kind of like, that's extremely impressive. Don't beat yourself up over that.
Well, and this is what I was saying. Goes back to that conversation about points. I think that one thing to be very clear on is that the points are designed to reward behavior that would lead to a dominant position and eventually a submission, right? So you do a takedown. You score a takedown, you score points. You get to side control or you get to mount, you get points, Or you attempt a submission, a legitimate attempt of a submission, you get points. Those are all things where if it's in a self-defense situation, those things matter quite a bit.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you fucking it doesn't matter if you sit and then you do and this is cool, man, but like it doesn't matter if you sit, you fucking do that sweep, I don't know what it's called. Marcelo Garcia does it all the time where you put your feet out in between their feet, you sweep them and then I mean that's okay, right? Maybe you're starting to pass guard, but it's like that is not a self-defense thing, and therefore it's not rewarded with points. It might still win you the match. You could still go for a submission from there, and that's fair because ultimately the submission will win, right? I think that's what it comes down to is that the point system is good for determining a winner if the submission doesn't happen, but the submission overrides everything. But if you only have a system where all you're doing is the submissions, and there are some submissions, and this is a conversation that needs to be had, there are some submissions that are easier to get than others.
Yeah.
A leg lock is something you can train so that it's easy to get. And that's what a lot of the 10th Planet guys do, But it's cool that John won. John is have you talked about him on the podcast before?
I think we have, yeah.
Yeah, so if nobody knows, John is a guy who trains jiu-jitsu with us.
Yeah,
big guy.
Big.
Just got his blue belt, but he's an advanced kind of very fucking aggressive dude who can roll with anybody.
Yeah, and I was messing with him. I was like, he was teaching something, saying, you see this and you do this for this posture. Teach one of the white belts. I'm like, look at you. Like getting in that blue belt and everything, teaching. Like, he's definitely he's come a long way.
Well, on Thursday we went over some so it was supposed to be open mat because you weren't there. But
yeah, I was sick as fuck. I'm sorry.
No, that's cool, man. I also got a little sick, and I'm still a little sick. My nose is a little stuffed. But we just did some stuff. He asked me about the tournament, and I was like, he was trying to think of some things, like if he had somebody in their guard, like in his guard. Yeah. He was trying to drill some stuff. So we drilled the hip bump sweep and the core.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, he wasn't like 100% on it. So I was like, dude, I mean, this right here in an Army combatives tournament, I feel like the hip bump sweep is something that most people don't expect. Back when I was in the Marine Corps, I mean, I told you about a time where I was rolling with this guy who was just such a fucking dickhead. I hated him so much. but I didn't know the hip bump sweep. If I had known the hip bump sweep back then, I have a visual in my head right now of that exact moment. It's burned into my brain where I was like rolling with this guy and I had him in my guard and I was trying to submit him, but he was like decent at avoiding these submissions. And I'm just like, man, if only I had known the fucking hip bump sweep and I could have fucking swept this guy. And he was such a dick and I hated him so much, but I didn't know it.
But you also would have been a blue belt back then, probably.
Yeah, I mean, shit, if I knew everything I knew back then, I would have smashed everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can't go back and change it. It's just,
No.
I know what you mean, though. You're like, fuck, if I knew this whole system, I would have been fine. Like,
Dude.
But
that's the point of progression.
Yeah.
Like if I had known everything, like my first tournament that I went into and I fucking paralyzed, I was so paralyzed with fear, I got loop choked unconscious. Like if I had known then what I know now, well, I probably wouldn't have gotten loop choked, but also it was like, fuck, man, it's stupid. It's like if 20 years ago I would have invested in Apple.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Fucking dickhead. Write a book about it. Write a fucking book called The Time Machine and just have your fantasies. And we can all read about them. We can all read about your fucking... Dude, if I had a time machine, there's so much shit. This is the problem, though, is that I have an overactive imagination. I think everybody thinks about their time machine fantasies. If I had a time machine, I'd go back and do this and fucking Back to the Future and the fucking Almanac, and you bet on all these things. My problem is if I went back in time, I wouldn't even know who fucking won anything. I'm so out of touch with sports. I'd be like, I know that the fucking Vikings didn't win any Super Bowls ever.
Don't bet on them.
I'm probably not going to bet on them.
It's like 1 out of 38 now. You're good.
Yeah.
I don't know how many football teams there are. See, so I'd be in the same thing.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It would have been silly for me to predict how many baskets the Vikings scored in their baseball game.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Still got that cough, man.
It was nasty. Like Thursday, I was like, fuck, man. Like the last thing I want to do is roll in there because I know me. I'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? I'll do some movement stuff with the guys, and then it'll be like, hey, let's roll one. I'm like, yeah, I'll just go real light. I don't feel good, and then 30 minutes later, as I'm drenched in sweat and like coughing all over everybody, and then the whole team goes down with this, with whatever I had.
Yeah. And we're all infected.
Yeah, that's the last thing I want.
Probably good to like go for a run or do they have a sauna? They have a sauna.
Yeah, we have a sauna here.
Yeah, I mean you can go to a sauna.
Yeah, I'll probably I feel so much better because Thursday I pretty much came home. I was like, I asked Stephanie, I was like, please, you just cover down, thank you, please and thank you. I owe you my life. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Just came home and just curled up under a blanket, cup of tea. Latest Danielle Steele novel talking about men with strong arms holding me close.
Ooh.
It was a night to remember, I'll tell you.
Strong jaws, strong arms, strong personalities. The type of man that that everybody they hate in real life, but women write books about. This fucking like alpha male fucking CEO or doctor or whatever, or cowboy. That's what all those romance novels, they're always about fucking firemen or CEOs, dudes with it. I mean, you have to have a shitload of money.
Yeah.
Or you have to be in a profession that's like really rugged. You have to be like a cowboy or
like a crocodile wrestler
or a crocodile wrangler. It's like, but then it's like, I don't know. Who knows what women actually want?
I will plug another podcast just because Jeff's been on the show before, but Dirty White Belt Radio actually talked to two authors of a romance novel series that focuses on MMA. Oh. And it was a really interesting epised, so I suggest everybody listen to that.
Were they gay romance novels?
No.
Oh.
Straight, like I haven't read them, but like
okay.
It was straight up. I was like,
I feel like to be like I used to be a bouncer at a gay bar, so I feel like
nice.
That'd be like a gay fantasy. But I don't know, man. I mean, all I know is that there's a lot of sort of that kind of behavior.
MattBattle.com for anybody who's in the know.
Yeah. Sweatybodies.
Oh, Jesus.
.net. grabbing what fuck, man? Armdrag.com.
PennIsland.com.
Penn Island.
That's one you talk about at work. You need more pens? Go to PennIsland.com.
Yeah, go to Penn Island. Yeah.
Type in penis land. Like, what the fuck?
Oh man. Oh dude, that's like one of those year 2000 jokes. Like,
I know.
On the internet, or like back before social media, and you could check that kind of shit.
Well, yeah, that's what I was laughing about. Matt Battle. That used to be the big thing on MMA.tv back in the day. It would be like, oh, here's a link to some, like, I don't even know if it was a real site or not, but pretty much you click on it, and it was like mattbattle.com where the grappling gets weird. Like, not weird or like romantic. I'm like, all right, close that out. And my parents are going to wonder what the fuck I've been looking at.
Dude, there's you could turn a lot of, I mean, I tell you what, man, grappling it's one of those sports where you just have to like, dude, there's a lot of jokes that don't get made. I'm going to take your back. I'm going to roll you over and take your back right now. Hey, bud. Hey, let's work on back takes. Let's work on me mounting you.
You really need to get your hips back there.
You really need
push in hard.
Yeah, just shrimp out.
You feel a tightness.
You're going to try and shrimp out? You can't shrimp out away from me.
Yeah.
I think we could go on.
We could do this for probably 3 hours
I think
straight.
You could probably
honestly.
do a whole podcast on that. I'll have to save my gay bar bouncing stories for another
Hell
podcast.
Yeah.
And it's tangentially related to jiu-jitsu because I did some street judo while I was doing it. And look, man, I'm not a big guy, 5'10", 175 pounds, soaking wet. But you didn't really need to be a big guy when you're a bouncer at a gay bar. And I say that with all the love in the world, but it just wasn't very hard to be. It's not very combative, very nice.
Yeah.
Everybody usually gets along.
I bounced for a month at a dueling piano bar. So that was
Sounds awful.
It was fucking awful.
It sounds, the type of people who go to a dueling piano bar are just not the type of people that I would want to hang out with.
No, well, it was like so it was in Raleigh, and it was called Rum Runners, and pretty much being a bouncer at a dueling piano bar is really code word for you stand around and you take trash out at the end of the night. Oh
fuck, yeah. I had to do that.
But like the cool part was they did show the UFCs there. So since it was so like chill,
yeah,
pretty much I would just sit there and stand in the second bar area. And I watched the Rampage Bisbing fight, and like it was good. It was easy. It wasn't too bad. I only had to like put my hands on people twice, and that's because one threw a beer in my face, because he thought it was his friend, and then 2 guys were throwing beer at each other in the bar
for fun or
for fun. They're just like, ha ha ha, here's beer here. I was like, guys, you got to leave.
That's that crazy shit, man.
Yeah,
some fucking shit, dude. I mean, the gay bar was one of the greatest times of my life. That was so much fun. I made so many friends there, and I was like one of 2 straight guys in the bar. I was hit on so often by chicks that would just go there with their friends, and then they would get to the bar, and they'd be one of those nights where they're like, oh yeah, I just don't want any men to talk to me. I'm so tired of getting hit on. And then 2 hours and 5 vodka cranberries later, they're fucking tugging at my shirt saying, are you straight? Because all of my friends that are in the bar, she'd asked all them, are there any straight guys here? All the other employees, and they'd all pointed at me, and I'd be like, guys, you gotta stop. You gotta stop pointing just drunk chicks my way, because I'm totally sober and they're totally drunk, and there's nothing that's gonna happen here. But I think I can save most of those stories for another day.
We should have a weekly Aaron's bouncing stories or whatever.
Man, there was some shit, dude. There's some Marine Corps martial arts that went on.
Fuck.
Yeah, man. It was usually homeless people though.
Trying to let me get a drink.
No, they would try and exactly. Fuck, I'm gonna save it. I gotta cut myself off. Off of telling, because there's some good stories.
Fuck. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll save it for next time. So it's actually been a good episode. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the Big Jiu-Jitsu Show. I'm Rob.
I'm Aaron.
And we'll see you guys next time.